I'm Dr. Kirby Thompson, licensed naturopathic doctor, owner and operator of Wildflower Wellness. And today, what we have here is Dr. Kirby's pick. March 2023, cholesterol. So a guy was in the office, a month ago, and he was asking me about cholesterol, just general questions. So I tried to give some information. So you eat fat, you eat cholesterol, you eat all kinds of junk, right? Hopefully good stuff. And you do need fat. We'll get into that. And when you eat those, they're broken down and they're packaged inside a lipoprotein. That lipoprotein is called a chylomicron. That chylomicron is then absorbed through the gut and taken into the liver. Once in the liver, it is repackaged as a VLDL, very low density lipoprotein, and a high density lipoprotein. The VLDL goes throughout the body using its apoproteins to deposit, cholesterol, triglycerides into the tissues. The HDL is mostly protein, and it uses its apoprotein to go throughout the tissues and pull stuff back out, right? So in a way, the HDL is good because it pulls things out that can be oxidized and technically be a part of an inflammatory process. Whereas the VLDL, which deposits its contents and then is turned into the LDL and then absorbed into the liver and broken down. However, there can be a wrench in the process when there is inflammation. And when there's inflammation, that LDL is used by the body to try to patch stuff up in a way. And the immune system will eat that little thing up, turn into what's called a foam cell, and deposit itself in the arterial system. When that happens, that creates atherosclerosis. That's why we watch the LDL. Now, notice I said one thing. I said inflammation. So, where does that come from? Well, that can come from a lot of things. So, it's very important that you work with your natural health care provider to make sure that your inflammatory processes are kept at a minimum. Now, there is blood work that you can use to do that. Common ones, very common, are the high sensitive CRP, the ESR, and this is a regular CRP some people use. But the high sensitive CRP is specific for cardiovascular inflammation. You can also use, to address your inflammatory levels, use the homocysteine. Another one is fibrinogen, and then there's also creatine kinase. All of these can tell you information about your inflammatory level. There can be a problem. That problem comes when your insurance company doesn't cover that test. So what are you going to do? Are you going to let that entity dictate what you can have to assess your health, or are you going to seek other means? Just because your insurance doesn't cover something doesn't mean it's not a good idea. Are you going to let someone else dictate your health, or are you going to be empowered to get what you need in order to evaluate your health? There are many ways to evaluate health. This is just one of them. And it could tell you a lot of things. So if you need this, please give us a call. We are more than happy to help you in your quest for health, inflammation. So what other things cause cholesterol to increase? So inflammation, the more inflammation you have, the more cholesterol you have. See what I'm saying? There you go. Not necessarily the good kind. There are ways to increase your good cholesterol, and there are ways to decrease your bad cholesterol. A lot of those have to do with things that you are doing. Now, is genetics, is that a thing? That can be a thing. But are genetics really the only thing? No. There's something called epigenetics, and that can take a lot of time to work, right? So we're constantly getting towards your goal with health. There are other things that can increase your cholesterol. Number one is your diet. Insulin actually increases the liver's production of triglycerides. How does insulin go up? Insulin goes up through carbohydrates, right? Simples, potatoes, white rice, all the things that people eat, right? Too many fruit. That can cause a problem for some people. Now remember, we believe in individualized health. So some people have a problem with that. Some people do not. It is very important to live in balance. Balance is good. Balance is good. Another way that your cholesterol can go up is actually through your medications. So if you look at the data, the PubMed, some studies, you'll actually see that there are a list, bam, bam, of medications that can cause increase in triglycerides and or LDLs and or HDLs. So let's go over that a little bit right now, and I'll name what I found on the studies. Beta blockers, thiazide diuretics, some types of birth control, antivirals, anticonvulsants, retinoids, which would be like Retin-A, for an example, corticosteroids, which could be any kind of steroid hormone that you're taking, right? Growth hormone, antipsychotic drugs, including clozapine, which is very interesting, oral estrogen, which oral estrogen can actually raise your HDLs if you take that. But in some people, the oral contraceptive and the hormone replacement can actually stimulate to increase your cholesterol, LDLs, triglycerides, and tamoxifen. So those are interesting, and if you are using those, then you need to check with your provider, especially if you're having a problem with cholesterol. Very important, very important. Now, another thing that we talked about is stress. Stress can also cause increase in cholesterol, and it can do this through the increasing of the cortisol itself causes sugar to shunt in the bloodstream. Once the sugar goes into the bloodstream, guess what? It triggers insulin. Insulin does what? Triggers what? Release of triglycerides. There you go. Bam. Now, it also can increase catecholamine. The sympathetic nervous system can increase catecholamines and also suppress the immune system. So stress doesn't just work on that level. It can stimulate inflammation. Stress itself can affect the immune system so that you have an inflammatory pattern going on all the time. So cholesterol becomes so very complicated, doesn't it? Now, a lot of people take cholesterol medications, namely statins, most of the time, although they do have some second generation, third generation type medications, immunotherapy, once a week shots, that types of thing. The most common that we see today are the statins, however. Now, there are some long-term side effects to these medications. Muscle pain and damage, which I do hear about frequently. Liver damage, digestive problems such as gas, bloating, nausea, and diarrhea, loose stools, rash or flushing like niacin reaction, increased blood sugar or type 2 diabetes, which I thought was very interesting. There can also be some neurological side effects such as memory loss, ALS, mental confusion, and I also read articles that said that there can be a risk in certain types of statins has been shown to trigger Parkinson's within a year after starting some forms of statins, which I thought was very interesting. Now, sexual dysfunction, cholesterol, is used to reduce testosterone. So if you use it, you can lose it. And I do know people that suffer from that. Yeah, absolutely. Now, there are two people groups who have been shown to actually benefit from cholesterol medications, prevention, cardiovascular health. And those are diabetics, people with sugar problems, and people who have had a past cardiac event, and that would be a heart attack or a stroke. So, make sure you're getting good advice from your medical professional, and most of them err on the side of caution. But even if you're taking cholesterol medication and you're not working on the root cause, stress, inflammation, diet, sugar, smoking's inflammation, all of the things, people say that all the time and I love it, all of the things, then you're not working on your health. You're just masking the symptom. So eventually, from what I have seen, that can catch up with you even though you're taking that drug. So make sure that you're not just symptomatology. Make sure that you're doing all of the things, addressing the inflammation, addressing your hormonal status, addressing your blood sugar, addressing the liver health, very important. And if you need help, please give us a call or visit us online at www.wildflowerwellnessllc.com. We pray you good health and we wish you well. Have a great day.